Irate customer at the coin shop. I'm going to explain what happened, folks. We got a warning on gas stations too. What are gas stations starting to do to people, folks? I'll let you know about that as well. Beware with that. We got a lot to cover. This is my third video today, folks. I had to get this information out to you tonight. It really cannot wait. It could have, but I figured I'd just do another video for you folks tonight. Please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget that like button, folks. That really helps get these videos. Don't forget about the PinMax giveaway. That is coming up on Friday morning. If you're not yet subscribed, it's a good time to subscribe. I'll put the link to the giveaway video. Pin comment. Go to the comment section. That's the first comment you're going to see. It will be pinned. The link will be somewhere in the comment. Click on the link. Watch that short video I've done. Enter the giveaway. Double check you are subscribed too. Let's just get into it. Customer walks in. He had 30 1994 Proof Cameo 1994 Silver Eagles. Take an example what a proof coin not really looks like, but the wording on it. It says Proof 67, and it also says Cameo after that. I'm just showing you the PF, what it stands for. This is just a Franklin half dollar, of course. So we're all on the same page right now. He brought in 30 of these coins. They were not back-to-back serial numbers. I was kind of wish they were back-to-back serial numbers. We could have made an offer a little bit more. They booked for $150 in the red book, the 2026. So if anybody has a copy of the 2026 red book, you can verify me. I'm telling you the right information. It's probably in the 2025 coin book as well. Not sure about the price. It's all the price is going to be in any red book. Just not sure about the price in the 2025. We were using a price of the 2026. God was very aware of that. I was in my office, of course. I'm always in my office. But anyways, I hear this guy's getting a little loud. So I go out there and try to calm the situation down. One of the girls that works for us, she was looking on eBay to see what they were selling for. They're selling for about $109, folks. So obviously we can't pay the $150. Obviously we can't pay the $109. Okay, obviously that's what they're selling for. That's the going rate right now. That's the going rate we're going to use. She offered, and I thought it was a pretty good gosh darn offer, $85 each. Times that by 30, she offered $2,550, folks. Guy went irate. I can get these booked for $150 in a red book. He said a little bit more than that, but I'm going to keep the language clean. I try to keep the language as clean as I can on the channel, of course. And she says, I'm aware of what's in the red book, sir. But what eBay is telling me is totally something different what people are willing to pay for. He says, well, I see listings on there 127, 137. That's when I came out. I introduced myself. And he didn't want to shake my hand. He says, I've dealt with you before. You're always lowball everybody. I said, do you want to sit down, sir? We will explain. Let me see what you have. Let me see what I can do. I only heard her offer. I said, let me see if she did it right. And I said, I'm trying to calm the situation down. So I'm looking at what he's got. He didn't want to really hear what I had to say. I says, I think she made you a fair offer. He says, I knew you were going to say that. You always back up your team. I says, well, yeah, I'm going to back up my team. I says, hey, look, man, if you want to put them on eBay, show me where one sold for $134, $145, $150, like they're trying, some of these people. I said, they're selling for $109. I says, they're even selling for $85. We're offering you $85 each. He says, well, how much are you going to sell them for? I says, I'll be honest with you. I said, I am going to try to get $109 each out of them. I said, but that don't mean that's what I'm going to get out of them, sir. I said, you got to take my perspective of trying to flip these, how long am I going to be staying on these for? Well, that's not my issue, he says. Well, I said, well, I understand that's not your issue. I said, we're not coming up a penny more. I said, I think it's a fair offer. I said, I think she made you a very fair offer. I said, look, I said, we put these in our case for $109. Someone offers me $100, $95. I said, they're going to be gone, sir. You know, I said, we're not into trying to rip people off. He said, well, I said, okay, fine. Let's do it this way then. I said, now he's starting to get a little more irate. He's swearing at me at this point. And I said, let's do it this way. I said, before you go any further, listen to what I have to say. I said, I would like you to leave right now. I said, but before you get more mad, I said, hear me out. Leave for the night. I want you to go price me out. So I says, I know you're frustrated. I said, I want you to price me out. I said, go to the other coin shops in the area. Take a couple days, think about what I'm telling you. I says, let's see if another one don't pop up on eBay that sold for a little bit more. Maybe I can give you a little bit more. I said, but right now, that's not going to happen. Not going to happen at this point. I said, it's really too bad none of your coins are in back-to-back serial numbers. I said, they're close with each other. Some of them are close, but they're not back-to-back. I said, I kind of wish that was the case. I said, we could probably give you a little bit more if at least some of them were back-to-back. I said, but really, I says, at the end game, I said, if you want to take the $85 today, that's fine. If you don't, I wouldn't say another word, I told him. I said, I don't want to have to tell you not to come back. I says, just cool it right this right now. I said, I'm giving you a chance here. I says, it's a fair offer. Well, he didn't want no part of it. No part of it, so there's no deal. Folks, be aware, no matter what you're trying to sell back to a coin shop, the coin shop has to make something off of it. And I understand most of you folks understand that. The coin shop's going to make something. We can't buy something and sell it for the same gosh darn price. How's the coin shop supposed to survive? And that's what I was trying to tell him. And he was kind of listening. You know, I said, I gave him a soda. He kind of calmed down after he took a few sips. He didn't really thank me or anything, but he left a lot cooler headed after I said, just cool it. I said, I don't want to kick you out of here. Sometimes you can help people that way, folks. Sometimes they're too crazy, and some people just can't be helped. And I told him, I said, I'll honor this price for the rest of the week, sir. I said, if you can find somebody else that pays you more, fine. I'll hold my price until Saturday. I said, but I'm not going any longer than that. I said, Saturday's the cutoff. I said, you want to come back Monday? I said, we will look at it again Monday. I said, you're going to take the chance. You might get a little bit less. I says, it all depends on what the going market is on eBay. I said, we have a hard time selling graded coins. We can probably send these to another coin shop. I said, but I would have to make a couple phone calls and see if anybody's interested in them as well. So I says, let's both have cool heads right now. He left. He says, I just don't like your attitude. I says, well, okay, that's fine. And I didn't ask, I said, if you like my attitude. So folks, sometimes it gets hairy. You know, we do have some females that in the shop. We do have a new worker now. She's a female as well. She's not have a boomstick yet to keep the language clean for YouTube standards. But we're working on her right now. She knows her items. She comes from another coin shop out west. Not going to name the other coin shop, of course. But she knows her silver and gold and platinum very, very well. So we're glad she saw the first crazy customer for down here. And she says she's had to deal with some harder people too. And again, folks, most coin shops are not going to rip you off. They're just not going to do it. They're not going to ruin the business. Do some coin shops take advantage of people? Heck yes. Heck yes. But, you know, in the long scheme of things, it's an offer. If you don't like the offer, just move on. You know, that's it. Just move on. I want to talk about the Pimex giveaway. If you guys want to see what's in the Pimex giveaway, Pimex has donated 5 troy ounces of their 1 ounce Frontier Mint silver bars. They are still available on their website to purchase. These silver bars are probably one of the nicest silver bars I've seen in a long time. They are made right out of Utah, folks. Frontier Mint is out of Utah. Check them out, folks. You guys seen them. I'll post a link to the video. If you're not yet signed up for the giveaway, you got time. You got a couple days left. You got tonight, you got all day tomorrow, and when I do my first video, about 10 minutes before I decide to do my video, it'll be cut off at that point. So I'm trying to give everybody as much time as possible and warning everybody to make sure they are subscribed and make sure you're signed up. Let's move on. Gas warning. There are certain stations around the country are trying to secretly charge you up to $1 more per gallon of gas by using a credit card. This will probably entrap travelers, vacationers. Maybe you get in an area you don't know and you're not realizing it, and you go to the credit card and you say, just put 20 on pump 5. Boom, you didn't look at the price and you got charged an extra $1. Then you realize later you got charged an extra $1 for a gallon of gas when you only should be paying a lot less. Folks, be careful. All right, be careful. You might just want to carry 20, 40 bucks in your purses. If you're a female, 20 to 40 bucks in your wallet. Folks, just in case for emergency. Put 20, 40 bucks in your glove box. These cars have so many hiding places you can hide a little bit of cash, folks. You guys know your car better than me. So you might have a trap door behind the stereo, maybe your console buried in there somewhere, folks. Have some cash for emergency. You know, ask before you take your next pump. You know, if you're in an unfamiliar area and you get in maybe work travels, whatever the case may be, it's always a good idea to have some cash. You know, avoid those fees. This has popped up about 3 or 4 times down here in Florida that people have been stung on that at certain gas stations. And it's happening nationwide, folks. It's just not here in Florida at all. I just want to bring that people's to your attention. Not normally something I cover on the channel, but I'm trying to save you folks as much money as I can. Don't get caught off guard, folks. It might be also a wise idea to at least carry a few ounces of silver in your vehicles. You know, you just never know. For emergency, you just never know who's going to take it, who may have the cash. You might be very close to a coin shop. You know, your car breaks down. You may have to walk a half a mile, you know, whatever the case may be, to go to the coin shop, get some cash, get, you know, whatever, make a phone call. You know, or the person can come pick you up, and but you need some quick cash, folks. Have some cash, have some silver at least in your car somewhere. Not financial advice, just trying to help everybody out there. I carry a few ounces in my car, folks. I carry a little bit of cash in my car. Just, you know, you just want to be prepared for anything. That's all. You know, like I said, it's not financial advice. It's just for your own protection. What else we got? Be careful with these banks, folks. Okay, be careful with these banks. Now, Wells Fargo's just issued a new policy. Yeah, here we go with Wells Fargo again. They are watching people like hawks. Even with your own accounts, between 2 or 3 different accounts in your own Wells Fargo network, and I'm sure more banks will start picking this up too. If they see an unusual transfer from one account to the next, they may not approve it, folks. Keep that in the back of your mind, folks. It's your money. It's your money. If you're transferring from one account to the next, even if it's in the same bank, the same complex bank, and you got all the passwords, why are they flagging this for? If you folks have any issues with that, let me know if you've seen that. This just came across my desk this morning. After I shot my first video, I saw it online. I printed it out, folks. Be careful. You got to be vigilant at everything these banks are doing. Why are they doing it for? They'd say, oh, to protect fraud. But okay, fraud, one thing. But where was the guideline that they don't question you anything under $10,000? Now, what does this happen? You need to take a fast account from $5 from your savings account. You have to throw it in your checking account because you're running a little bit low on your checking account, and they're going to flag that? That's crazy. That's crazy. Dude, you've done it before, and they claim, well, maybe it's unnormal for this person to do it 2 times a month. Now this person is going 3 times a month doing it. Well, it's your gosh darn money. Okay? It's your money. If you are making any changes, folks, you may want to call your bank directly. Walk into your bank. Do it right at a teller, folks. Yeah, it may be a pain in the rear end, but it may save you grief at the end of the day. It might just be better doing it that way. Just go in the bank. Bug them at the bank then. They don't want to do it online. Bug them at the bank. Why not? That's what they're there for. Just go back to the old school ways. It's sad these banks are doing this. What happened to the good old days where the bank, it can send you a text and say, is this you? Okay, you hit yes, you put your passcode in, and boom, okay, it's done. Things are changing fast, folks. Me personally, I don't keep a lot of money in the bank. I just don't. Me personally, I keep enough money in the bank to pay the bills, and that's it. The rest of it, I have some cash. I don't keep it all in one bank as well. Again, none of this is financial advice. I'm just letting you folks know what I'm doing to protect myself. Follow the lead, don't follow the lead. And I'm trying to get silver, of course, too. And I'm being very selective of my silver purchases right now. Check out channel sponsor Pinbacks as well, folks. Sorry to talk about them so late in the video with this way. We talked about the giveaway. Check Michael and Brian out. They're owners of Pinbacks, folks. You call them up, you probably can get one of the boys, because they answer the phones for you as well. Get to know the owners of Pinbacks. Michael or Brian, they're both good guys. Let them know that Coin Shop Chris sent you. That way, we can see more bigger giveaways, folks, down the road. You want bigger giveaways? That's all. If you're making a purchase with them anyways, you might as well let them know that I sent you so we can get bigger giveaways on the channel. They kept their word. They raised their giveaway this time. And I'm sure they will raise it next time. Thank you, channel sponsor Pinbacks. Thank you to Michael and Brian. Thank you to the team at Pinbacks. And most importantly at all, thank you to the viewer who's watching. Don't forget that thumbs up. That really does help. You folks have any questions for me about silver, gold, or platinum? Email me. Some of you guys are amazed how fast I get back. I can't always promise I can get back within 25 minutes of an email. Sometimes I can. I do try to respond within 48 hours. And most times I can do it within a few hours. Now, if you email me at 1 o'clock in the morning and my rear end's in bed, well, then you're probably going to wait till the next morning. But for the most part, I'm going to be able to answer your questions or get back to you in your email that same day. Look, I work at the coin shop. Normally I put out just 2 videos a day, folks. Today's is a bonus feature with 3 videos from Coin Shop Chris. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. Coin Shop Chris is out. We will catch you tomorrow.